Your healing shatters the narcissist. Meanwhile, the narcissist gets worse. When you've been in a relationship with a narcissist, it can feel like you're trapped in an emotional maze. One moment, you're being showered with attention, love, and validation. The next, you're left wondering where it all went wrong, feeling emotionally drained, confused, and unimportant. But what happens when you decide to heal? When you take the steps to reclaim your life, your sense of self, and your worth, things take a surprising turn. The narcissist who once seemed to be in control, who held the power over your emotions and self-esteem, begins to unravel. This video is going to explore why that happens and why, paradoxically, the narcissist often gets worse when you start to heal. You might be asking yourself, why does healing affect the narcissist so much? Why does my moving on seem to make them worse, not better? It's an unsettling reality for anyone who has been in a relationship with a narcissist. In this video, we'll dive deep into the psyche of the narcissist and how your healing process exposes their deepest fears and insecurities. Healing exposes the narcissist's fragility. When you're in a relationship with a narcissist, your emotional well-being often becomes secondary to their need for admiration, attention, and control. Narcissists live in a world where they are the center of everything, and everything revolves around maintaining their inflated self-image. They need constant validation, admiration, and affirmation to feel secure. But what happens when you, as their target, begin to withdraw, heal, and put yourself first? The narcissist's carefully constructed world begins to shake. One of the core aspects of narcissism is the fragile self-esteem that lies beneath the surface of their overconfidence. While they might appear self-assured and grandiose, this is merely a facade that hides deep insecurities. When you start to heal, stop seeking their approval, and begin prioritizing your own needs, it serves as a reminder of their inner fragility. The narcissist's world is built on control and manipulation. As long as they are able to maintain control over you, whether emotionally, mentally, or even physically, they can keep their false sense of superiority intact. But once you begin to break free, the narcissist is forced to confront the reality of their own inadequacy. This realization is threatening to their entire self-concept. Your healing doesn't just take you away from them emotionally, it forces them to face the truth about themselves. The narcissist feels abandoned, but their response is not normal. Narcissists are not capable of processing emotions the same way healthy individuals do. When you heal, move on, or set boundaries, the narcissist experiences what they perceive as a devastating abandonment. They view your need for space and self-care not as a natural step in healing, but as a rejection of them. This abandonment touches on their deepest fear, the fear of being insignificant and unworthy. But unlike normal people, who might feel sadness or disappointment in response to a breakup or emotional distancing, the narcissist's reaction is often more extreme and self-centered. The abandonment they feel doesn't lead to self-reflection or growth. Instead, it intensifies their need to control the narrative, to manipulate the situation to their advantage, and to keep you tethered to them emotionally. They may resort to guilt-tripping, playing the victim, or even escalating the emotional abuse in an attempt to regain control. The narcissist may gaslight you, confuse you, or attempt to convince you that you are in the wrong. They might try to make you feel guilty for trying to heal and move on. The narcissist's need for validation becomes desperate, and the healing process you are going through, meant to restore your well-being, becomes a direct threat to their sense of identity. Why the narcissist gets worse as you heal. So, why does the narcissist get worse as you heal? As you reclaim your life and sense of self-worth, the narcissist's behavior becomes more erratic and toxic. This is because their entire sense of identity is built around external validation. Without it, they feel completely lost. Your healing shatters their illusion of control and admiration. Here are some key reasons why the narcissist's behavior deteriorates as you begin to heal. 1. Loss of control. Narcissists cannot handle the loss of control over others. When you begin healing, setting boundaries, or walking away, it feels like they are losing grip on the one thing that keeps their world intact, other people's attention. Without constant reinforcement, the narcissist's false self-image crumbles. They may lash out in anger or confusion, attempting to regain their hold over you. 2. The narcissist feels invisible. When you heal and start prioritizing yourself, the narcissist becomes aware of how invisible they truly are in your world. They can no longer manipulate you or draw from you the energy they once did. Your growth, independence, and focus on self-care serve as a stark reminder of how little they have to offer in terms of emotional depth or empathy. The more you focus on yourself, the more the narcissist realizes that they are irrelevant to your life. This realization stirs up anger, bitterness, and resentment in them. 3. They fear being exposed. Narcissists often maintain their facade by manipulating others into viewing them in a certain light. As you heal, you stop playing along with their game. When they no longer have access to your emotions or validation, they are faced with the truth of who they really are. Someone who is emotionally shallow, fragile, and incapable of maintaining healthy relationships. This fear of exposure only amplifies their destructive behavior. 4. No one to feed their ego. Narcissists rely on a steady stream of admiration, attention, and validation from others to feed their ego. When you stop feeding their need for praise and adoration, they are forced to seek validation elsewhere. They might engage in other relationships, looking for new sources of supply, but no one can ever truly replace the emotional connection they had with you. This fuels their desperation and amplifies their toxic tendencies. 5. Frustration and aggression. As the narcissist feels more rejected and more invisible, their frustration grows. They may react with more passive-aggressive behavior, verbal abuse, or even physical threats. Their attempts to control or manipulate you escalate, as they can no longer tolerate the loss of power. The narcissist's reaction is always self-serving, aiming to hurt you in a way that restores their sense of control. How healing affects you and why it's important. Your healing journey is not only about reclaiming your emotional stability, but it's also about taking back your life from someone who sought to control, manipulate, and diminish your sense of self-worth. It's crucial to understand that the narcissist's worsening behavior is a reflection of their own inner turmoil, not a reflection of your shortcomings. As you heal, it's important to recognize that the narcissist may try to draw you back into their orbit, using guilt, charm, or manipulation to lure you back. But healing requires consistent boundaries, self-compassion, and a commitment to your well-being. Healing also requires recognizing that the narcissist will likely never change. Their behavior is ingrained, and their inability to process emotions in a healthy way means that they will continue to get worse as you get better. You must prioritize your emotional health, and this may mean cutting ties entirely or limiting contact if you're co-parenting or forced to interact with them. The narcissist's worst nightmare is your healing. In the end, your healing is a threat to the narcissist's entire existence. As you heal, you rob them of the control, admiration, and validation they so desperately crave. The more you focus on yourself, the more they begin to realize that they are not the center of your world. This realization triggers their deepest fears and insecurities, and their response is often one of aggression, manipulation, and even violence. But remember, Your healing is not just about leaving behind the narcissist. It's about reclaiming your life, your emotional well-being, and your self-worth. It's about moving beyond the toxic cycle of manipulation and abuse that they thrive on. You are not responsible for their emotional instability, and you are not obligated to stay in a relationship that continuously harms you. Thank you for taking the time to watching this video. Healing is a powerful journey, and while it may seem difficult, it is essential for your mental and emotional recovery. If you've been through the emotional roller coaster of narcissistic abuse, remember that your healing is your victory, and that victory is something that the narcissist will never understand. Keep moving forward, keep growing, and most importantly, keep healing. Why the narcissist's life begins to fall apart after discarding you. Have you ever been in a relationship where, despite all the red flags, you gave everything, your heart, your energy, your time, and just when you thought things were finally getting better, the narcissist discarded you as if you were nothing? 1 minute, you were their world, and the next, you were nothing but an afterthought. You might have been left confused, hurt, and betrayed, wondering how someone who once claimed to love you could turn so cold, so quickly. But here's the interesting part. While you're trying to heal and move on with your life, the narcissist's world is quietly falling apart. In fact, the very moment they discarded you, a chain of events was set into motion that would begin unraveling their life in ways they never expected. So, why does the narcissist's life begin to deteriorate once they've discarded you? It's almost as if their power source, their validation, has suddenly been ripped away. Narcissists thrive on admiration, control, and dominance. The moment you're out of the picture, the foundation of their inflated self-worth starts to shake. Stick with me as we explore how their grand facade of superiority starts to crumble, and why the aftermath of their actions is often more catastrophic for them than it is for you. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button, give a thumbs up, and share this with anyone who's been through the emotional roller coaster of a narcissistic relationship. Understanding these dynamics can help you heal and avoid the traps of narcissistic behavior in the future. Now let's take a deep dive into what really happens when the narcissist discards you, and how it's not as easy as they thought it would be. The illusion of control shattered. The moment the narcissist discards you, they may act like it's no big deal. They may act as if they've moved on to better things, or that they're completely unaffected by the breakup. But beneath the surface, the truth is far different. Narcissists are people who need to maintain control over their environment and the people in their lives. When they discard you, they don't realize the full consequences of their actions. They are too focused on their own image, their desire to maintain dominance, and their need for constant validation. For the narcissist, relationships are transactional. You are a source of supply, providing them with admiration, validation, and a sense of superiority. The moment you stop being useful, or worse, the moment you refuse to tolerate their mistreatment, the narcissist reacts by discarding you. But in doing so, they've destroyed the most important source of affirmation in their life. It's not just about you. It's about the power dynamic that they've lost. When you stop being the supply they crave, their ego starts to wither. They need others to inflate their fragile self-worth, and the emotional vacuum created by the loss of your validation is more detrimental than they anticipate. They begin to spiral, feeling increasingly empty and powerless. The loss of control triggers a crisis. One of the key reasons the narcissist's life begins to fall apart after discarding you is that their need for control goes far beyond their romantic relationships. It extends into every aspect of their life. The narcissist is used to manipulating and controlling situations to maintain a sense of superiority. The moment they discard you, they'd lost control over one of their most important emotional resources. For them, this loss triggers a crisis. The narcissist is left scrambling to find new sources of validation and control. However, nothing can replace the emotional investment and connection they once had with you. They try to seek out new sources of supply, whether it's another relationship, a new job, or different social circles, but nothing quite compares to the deep emotional hold they had over you. You were special to them, not because of who you are, but because of what you provided. You made them feel powerful, validated, and admired. Without that, they are forced to confront the emptiness of their own psyche. This void is uncomfortable, and the narcissist will often react by becoming more desperate and erratic. They may engage in rebound relationships, find temporary distractions, or increase their manipulative behaviors. But no matter how much they try to fill the emptiness, the truth remains. You can't replace the genuine validation that you once provided. The narcissist's image crumbles. Another reason the narcissist's life begins to deteriorate after discarding you is that their entire identity is based on an image they've meticulously constructed. This image is fragile and requires constant reinforcement. The narcissist is a master of portraying themselves as superior, flawless, and always in control. However, once you're gone, the cracks in their facade start to show. Without you, their false image becomes increasingly difficult to maintain. Narcissists often surround themselves with people who feed into their delusions, but the people they interact with after discarding you are usually far less invested in their narrative. They begin to sense the cracks in the narcissist's confidence. This lack of genuine admiration from others can be a shock to the narcissist, who may find themselves unable to control how others perceive them. The result? Their sense of self starts to unravel. They may lash out, become defensive, or try to manipulate others into seeing them in a better light. But deep down, they know that the illusion is no longer working. Their carefully curated image begins to lose its power, and the narcissist is left with the haunting realization that they can't keep up the charade forever. The facade they've relied on for so long is crumbling, and they are powerless to stop it. The narcissist's relationships become superficial and empty. Once the narcissist has discarded you, they often attempt to fill the void with new relationships. But these new connections are rarely meaningful. Narcissists can't form deep, genuine emotional connections, as they lack the ability to empathize with others. They view people as either tools for their own gain or obstacles to their success. In their new relationships, the narcissist seeks validation, but it's never enough. New partners, friends, or colleagues may provide temporary relief, but the narcissist will quickly move on when they stop providing the validation they need. The narcissist becomes more restless, more demanding, and ultimately more isolated. What happens when the narcissist realizes that no one will ever replace the supply you once gave them? They begin to spiral further into emotional chaos. Their need for constant admiration becomes an insatiable hunger. They may bounce from one relationship to another, from one job to the next, or one social circle to another, but it's all a futile attempt to fill the emptiness inside. In the end, their life becomes a series of superficial interactions, with nothing meaningful to ground them. The narcissist's path to destruction. In the aftermath of discarding you, the narcissist's life isn't just destabilized. It begins to spiral into self-destruction. They're left with a fragile ego, a shattered image, and a desperate need for validation that no one can provide. The narcissist starts to unravel in ways that are often not immediately obvious. They may appear successful on the outside, but beneath the surface, they are in turmoil. In an attempt to restore some semblance of control, They may try to engage in smear campaigns, spread lies, or attempt to manipulate those around them into believing they are the victim. These tactics are often their last-ditch efforts to regain the power they lost when they discarded you. However, their manipulations rarely work in the long term. People begin to see through their lies and deceit. As the narcissist's facade continues to crumble, they are forced to confront the reality that they cannot maintain the illusion of control forever. Their emotional and mental well-being deteriorates, and they are left with the bitter truth that no matter how much they try to manipulate their surroundings, they are ultimately alone, trapped in the cage of their own making. When the narcissist discards you, they may believe that they have won. They may think they have moved on, that they found something better, or that they are in control of the situation. However, the truth is far from that. The moment they discard you, they lose something much more important than they realize: the emotional supply you once provided. As their world begins to crumble and their image falls apart, the narcissist will be forced to confront the consequences of their actions. In the end, their life doesn't improve. It falls apart, piece by piece, until they are left with the emptiness they'd long been trying to escape. If you've been the one discarded by a narcissist, remember this: their destruction isn't your responsibility. It's a result of their own choices, their own need for control, and their own inability to form meaningful connections. You are not the cause of their downfall. You are the catalyst for their inevitable unraveling. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content on understanding narcissistic behavior and healing from toxic relationships.